All right, let's talk about cellular respiration. So get some paper out and take some notes with me. The number one thing you should know about cellular respiration is what is the purpose? That's a good question, right? So the whole point of cellular respiration is to make ATP. That's energy. Okay, in our class, all living thing, all living things do cellular respiration. Sometimes you'll hear it called respiration. All right. So what does cellular respiration use to make ATP? It uses glucose, right? So glucose, and then in aerobic cellular respiration, you'll use oxygen, and that's going to produce water, carbon dioxide, and then that ATP, which we're trying to make. Okay, so if you look at it, it looks very similar to photosynthesis, just backwards. All right, but they're not reverse reactions. Okay, so when we're doing this drawing, you want to know where do these reactants get used and where are these products made. So that's super important. All right, I'm going to draw a cell. So draw this with me. Take up most of my space. All right, cellular respiration starts with glucose. All right, now in heterotrophs, glucose is ingested. So for like us or animals, we'll eat food and our digestive system will break that food down into glucose, and that's going to enter our cells. Our blood is going to transport it to our cells, and it's going to enter through facilitated diffusion. And all right, we start with glucose. That's the point. All right, and glucose is going to get broken down into smaller molecules, right, in the first stage. Okay, so there's going to be three stages to cellular respiration. So you want to know where does it happen, what is it called, and how much ATP can we get. Okay, so I'll do the reactant products in blue and also the name in blue. This is called glycolysis. Right, so remember, LYS means breakdown. In glycolysis, we are breaking down glucose. All right, and I'll do the location in parentheses here in purple. All right, so glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. All right, and very importantly, how much ATP do we get? I'll do that in red. All right, we get 2 molecules of ATP per 1 glucose molecule. All right, we actually use 2 ATPs to make 4, but 2 is the number to remember. All right, now if oxygen is available, cellular respiration is going to continue into the mitochondria. Now the mitochondria is not this big, right? But I need to draw it big so I can show you what's going on, right? So the mitochondria has 2 membranes, an outer membrane and an inner membrane. All right, so the products of glycolysis, they're going to go into the Krebs cycle. Okay, and that happens in the inner part of the mitochondria. All right, and the Krebs cycle is sometimes known as the citric acid cycle. The citric acid cycle. So they're just 2 names for the same thing. All right, it's during the Krebs cycle that carbon dioxide is produced, and that's a waste. That's toxic to our body, so we need to breathe it out. All right, and it's cellular respiration that creates that stuff in our body. Okay, so the Krebs cycle happens inside the mitochondria. That's known as the matrix. Let me go back to my purple. The matrix, the mitochondrial matrix, and that's going to make 2 ATPs. All right, so we haven't gotten much ATP yet. All right, the third and final stage of cellular respiration happens on this inner membrane of the mitochondria. Notice how it's folded. All right, anything that's folded in biology is very, very, very important. Usually, it's folded to increase surface area. Right, I'm not going to go around the whole thing, but that's the part we're talking about. All right, that is where the electron transport chain occurs. This is the third stage. It's called the ETC, electron transport chain. All right, and that is where the oxygen that we breathe is going to get used and produces water. Okay. Again, we're not trying to make water. We're not trying to use oxygen. We're just trying to make ATP. But this is, part of the process. All right. Notice the arrow. Oxygen is going in. All right. Just like here, it's going in. So everything is consistent. Okay. So that happens on the inner membrane of the mitochondria, or yeah. All right. And it's this third stage that's going to produce the most ATP, 32 to 34 ATPs for each glucose molecule. All right, so we're still trying to figure this out. All right, so you definitely want to know what the three stages are called, where they occur, how many ATPs do we get, and what goes in, what goes out with the reactants and products. All right, so let's go over one last scenario. All right, all of this here on the right side happens if oxygen is available. All right, but sometimes that's not the case. Okay, when we're working out hard or for very long periods of times, or maybe you're, or for whatever reason, you always need to make ATP, but there may not be sufficient oxygen. All right, so when there's not enough oxygen, then cellular respiration continues through fermentation. And this is known as an anaerobic process. Anaerobic means without oxygen. All right, and fermentation will take the products of glycolysis. It'll take that stuff and turn it into other byproducts. Well, that's not really the point, but the point is it will allow glycolysis to repeat. All right, so we'll take glucose and you get 2 ATPs out of it. All right, it's not the most efficient process, and you get byproducts, but it does allow cellular respiration to continue. Okay, so if you want the details on that, you can go into our presentation and check it out. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions. Let's actually recap one more time. This is the overall importance of this lesson. All right, so one more time. What is the whole point of cellular respiration? Okay, hopefully you said it's to make ATP. That's the whole point. What is needed to make that ATP? All right, hopefully you said glucose. Okay, now the other two, oxygen is oftentimes needed, but as we saw, we don't need it all the time. And that's going to make water and carbon dioxide, which are waste products. All right, so we're trying to make ATP using glucose. This is called cellular respiration.